This content is presented purely for educational purposes. It does not condone or promote violence or illegal activity. All information is drawn from public records and open source research, and it is intended to provide a historical and analytical overview of the subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised due to the sensitive nature of the topics discussed. This in-depth article explores the history, evolution, and legal challenges associated with the Cuatro Flats gang, also known as the 4th Street Flats, a Mexican-American street gang based in Los Angeles, California. We will detail the gang's origins in the Pico Gardens Aliso Village housing projects of Boyle Heights and its association with other local gangs such as the Primera Flats, El Hoyo Maravilla, and the East LA Dukes 13. The narrative further delves into a series of notorious criminal incidents, the rise and eventual capture of gang member Joe Saenz, also known by aliases including Smiley, Honeycut, and Zap, and related cases that illustrate the complex network of gang activity, territorial disputes, and legal battles in Southern California. The origins and evolution of the Cuatro Flats gang. The Cuatro Flats gang, with its barrio located on 4th Street between Clarence Street and just west of the Santa Ana Freeway in Los Angeles, has been on law enforcement's radar since the 1940s. Emerging from the Pico Gardens Aliso Village housing projects in the Boyle Heights area, the gang was born in an environment where several other gangs also took root, including the Primera Flats, El Hoyo Maravilla, and the East LA Dukes 13. Over the decades, Cuatro Flats established itself as one of the most violent street gangs in East Los Angeles. Aligned with the Mexican Mafia and representing the Sur 13, the Cuatro Flats gang developed both local influence and far-reaching connections. Its history is marked not only by territorial claims and violent confrontations, but also by a complex system of alliances and rivalries. Among its most notable adversaries were gangs such as the Mob Crew, Primera Flats, Breed Street, East LA Dukes 13, White Fence, Crazy Ass Mexicans, and all Maravilla gangs. Their rivalry and the subsequent clashes have shaped the narrative of gang activity in the region, with graffiti and territorial markings serving as constant reminders of ongoing conflicts, notable criminal activities, and incidents. The criminal record of Cuatro Flats is extensive and marked by multiple high-profile incidents. The gang's violent reputation was solidified by events that spanned decades, from execution-style murders in the late 1990s to well-documented cases in the 2000s. Among these, the 1998 incidents involving Joe Saenz would come to define the gang's notoriety. In 1998, Joe Saenz and his associate Juan Pena orchestrated a double murder that made headlines across Los Angeles. The incident occurred in the Aliso Village housing projects, where Saenz and Pena allegedly lured two rival members from the East LA Dukes, Josue Hernandez and Leonardo Ponce, under the guise of a drug deal. The ensuing execution-style killings, with one victim shot in the chest, thigh, and back, and the other shot 3 times in the head, were reportedly retaliatory actions following an assault on Pena by members of the rival gang just a week earlier. Shortly thereafter, Saenz was implicated in further violent crimes. The very same year, on August 5th, he was accused of kidnapping, raping, and murdering his former girlfriend, a crime that would further complicate his criminal profile and contribute to his eventual placement on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. Joe Saenz, a case study in gang violence. Early life and background. Joe Saenz, also known as Joe Luis Saenz, was born in Los Angeles around 1975. His early life was steeped in the culture of gang affiliation. Born to a father who was a member of the Maravilla gang and a mother struggling with substance abuse, Saenz grew up primarily under the care of his grandmother in a small backyard bungalow on Ferris Avenue. His formative years were heavily influenced by the environment of the Pico Aliso housing projects, where he spent much of his time with his cousins. Entry into gang life and criminal behavior. Although Saenz attended high school within the Los Angeles Unified School District, he eventually dropped out as the streets and gang life took precedence over education. By the mid-1990s, his name was increasingly associated with homicides and other violent acts. His reputation as a dangerous and lethal figure grew, setting the stage for the series of high-profile crimes that would later be attributed to him. The 1998 double murder, kidnapping, and rape. On July 25, 1998, Saenz, known by the moniker Smiley, and Juan Pena, a fellow Cuatro Flats gang member, allegedly executed a premeditated plan to lure and murder two rival gang members associated with the East LA Dukes. The victims, Josue Hernandez and Leonardo Ponce, were invited under the pretense of a drug deal. The murders were carried out in a brutal, execution-style manner at 210 North Clarence Street in the Aliso Village area of Boyle Heights. With Ponce sustaining multiple gunshot wounds to his chest, thigh, and back, and Hernandez being shot 3 times in the head, the incident was widely believed to be a retaliatory act for a previous assault on Pena by rival gang members. At the time of the shooting, Saenz was on parole. After the murders, he fled the scene and took refuge in the apartment of Sagrada Hernandez, his former girlfriend and the mother of his 2-year-old daughter. However, paranoia soon set in when Saenz suspected that his girlfriend had cooperated with the authorities. On August 5, 1998, in a chilling continuation of his violent spree, Saenz allegedly kidnapped her, along with several accomplices, and took her to his grandmother's house in an unincorporated area of East Los Angeles. In a tragic turn of events, 3 hours later, after telling his grandmother he had just made a big mistake, she returned to find the lifeless body of his former girlfriend sprawled in a back bedroom with a bullet wound to the temple. Investigators found a pile of .357 Magnum shells on a dresser and a note scrawled in pencil on the living room wall that read, "The guys who drove me here have nothing to do with this." Saenz also left a heartfelt message for his grandmother, asking her to care for his child and expressing his love. Juan Pena, who was only 14 years old at the time, was later arrested for his involvement after a tipster placed him at the scene. Pena, despite not being the actual shooter, was convicted of the murders. His detailed confession, given prior to his untimely death from childhood leukemia in 2001, further solidified the account of these events. As a result of the 1998 events, Saenz faced charges including 3 counts of murder, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of rape. Los Angeles City Council even offered a reward of $75,000 for information leading to his capture. Yet, for over a decade, Saenz managed to elude authorities. The 2008 murder of Oscar Torres. In August 2008, a separate but related incident unfolded involving the murder of Oscar Torres, a 38-year-old member of the Lot Stoner gang and a close associate of Saenz. During a routine stop by a Missouri state trooper, 2 gang members were intercepted while driving a rental vehicle. In the vehicle, authorities discovered $610,000 in cash hidden in a compartment, wrapped and marked with the name Toro, one of Saenz's known aliases. This substantial sum of money was confiscated by the police. On October 5, 2008, further evidence implicated Saenz in another brutal killing. Anthony Limon, a driver for Oscar Torres, was tasked with transporting several men in his Hummer limousine on that fateful night. After picking up Saenz at the Elephant Bar restaurant in suburban Lakewood, Limon was ordered to drive to Montebello and then to a residence in Whittier. Home surveillance footage later captured Saenz arriving at Torres's house, chasing Torres from his front door, and shooting him 4 times in the head. The shooting was allegedly linked to lost money and internal disputes. Although the original DVD recording of the incident was removed from the security system, subsequent recovery of the footage enabled investigators to identify Saenz as the shooter. Inside the residence where Torres was killed, officers discovered Anthony Limon, who had been shot in the back but survived, and a cache of weaponry, including 40 handguns, assault rifles, and a short rifle. A month after the murder, Saenz's cousin, Johnny Prado, was arrested on charges of murder and attempted murder, receiving a sentence of 26 years in November 2009. These events further underscored the violent legacy of the Cuatro Flats gang and solidified Saenz's reputation as an armed and dangerous individual. Fugitive status and arrest of Joe Saenz. After the 2008 murder and other charges, Saenz's notoriety grew exponentially. On October 19, 2009, he was named the 492nd fugitive to be placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. During his time as a fugitive, Saenz was believed to be living in Mexico, where he was suspected of working as an enforcer for a Mexican cartel. Using as many as 20 aliases and employing fraudulent identity documents, he managed to evade law enforcement for over 14 years. Reports even suggested that during his time on the run, Saenz had attended Los Angeles Lakers basketball games. The extensive manhunt finally culminated on November 22, 2012, when Saenz was located and arrested in Guadalajara, Mexico, by the federal police. Following his arrest, he was extradited to the United States to face charges including 4 murders, rape, kidnapping, parole violation, and unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. His eventual capture marked the end of a long, violent chapter that had seen him roam across Mexico, Central America, the United States, and Canada.
The FBI needs your help finding Joe Saenz, who is wanted on charges of murder, rape, and kidnapping. Saenz allegedly shot and killed 2 rival gang members in Los Angeles in July 1998. 2 weeks later, on August 5th, he allegedly kidnapped, raped, and murdered his girlfriend. Saenz allegedly murdered a 4th victim in Los Angeles in October 2008. The FBI added Saenz to its 10 most wanted fugitives list and is offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading directly to his capture. The FBI released home surveillance video showing Saenz in the moments before his alleged role in a 2008 murder. The FBI and police hope the public might recognize him and come forward with tips. Saenz of Los Angeles has a long list of aliases including Toro, Smiley, and Peanut. He is believed to work for a Mexican drug cartel and travels frequently between the U.S. and Mexico. Saenz is about 6 feet tall, has a medium build and brown eyes. His left arm is tattooed with the words Natalie and Cuatro. He also has tattoos on his right arm and back, though he may have had them removed. Saenz is believed to always carry a weapon and should be regarded as extremely dangerous. If you have any information concerning the case, contact your local FBI office or the nearest U.S. Embassy or consulate. More information about the case can be found on the FBI website, www.fbi.gov.
Analysis of a drive-by shooting and gang rivalries. In a separate incident on May 25, 2010, 2 Los Angeles Police Department officers, Rick Corpel and Jose Merida, witnessed a drive-by shooting that further highlighted the volatile nature of gang conflicts in the region. The incident unfolded as officers pursued a vehicle after receiving reports of a potential stolen vehicle. The suspect's car soon approached 2 pedestrians, resulting in audible gunshots and visible muzzle flashes. Amid the chaos, one of the pedestrians was injured, and the suspect was seen dropping a firearm before speeding off and eventually crashing his car. After the crash, the suspect fled the scene on foot, eventually seeking refuge at the home of Santiago M. on South Soto Street. Santiago, an associate of the White Fence Gang known by the moniker Silent, encountered the suspect as he pleaded for shelter while visibly bleeding and out of breath. Along with ramblings that included apologies and the admission of having fucked up, the suspect's actions set off a chain of events that would later tie this incident to the broader intergang conflict in the area. Officers followed a blood trail, and with the help of a K-9 unit, they located the suspect at Santiago's residence. The recovered firearm, a black 9mm pistol, matched shell casings found in the suspect's vehicle, and forensic evidence confirmed that it had been used in the drive-by shooting. Subsequent testimony from gang experts and witnesses linked the incident to the long-standing rivalry between the White Fence Gang and the Cuatro Flats Gang. Graffiti evidence near Santiago's home included tags from both groups with the White Fence monikers Lil One and Neto juxtaposed against crossed-out Cuatro Flats names and the penal code 187, used to signify murder. The suspect in this case, who also admitted to membership in the White Fence Gang, provided further context during the trial. His personal history, including gang tattoos and affiliations, was used to establish that the drive-by shooting and related acts of vandalism were part of an ongoing inter-gang conflict. Although he later testified that the attack was not intended to kill but to intimidate, citing personal disputes with one of the rival gang members, the evidence pointed toward a calculated act intended to assert territorial dominance. Gang graffiti and territorial markings. One of the key aspects of gang culture in Southern California, particularly among groups like Cuatro Flats and White Fence, is the use of graffiti as a means of marking territory and asserting dominance. Graffiti in the region is not random. It serves as a public declaration of a gang's presence, an invitation to rival groups, and a method to instill fear in the community. In several incidents documented between 2017 and 2018, law enforcement observed extensive graffiti throughout shopping centers, on street signs, and on utility boxes. These markings included a mix of letters and numbers such as C, 4, F, flats, and monikers like Two-Face, each carrying specific significance related to the Cuatro Flats gang and its subgroups. For instance, a deputy noted that graffiti bearing the symbols C, X, F, and L signified the claim of territory by Cuatro Flats, while other tags such as V with a downward line indicated a territorial marker, Vario. Rival responses were also evident. In one case, the White Fence gang's graffiti defaced the Cuatro Flats markings by crossing out their symbols and writing "fuck catfish" alongside rival monikers, indicating an open challenge. These acts of tagging are more than mere vandalism. They are integral to the identity and operational tactics of these gangs. They serve to intimidate residents, signal the presence of armed members, and provide a visible warning that the area is under gang control. In one notable case involving Danny Martinez, further evidence of gang-related tagging was introduced during the trial. Martinez, whose tattoos included the words "Flats" and "For Life," was observed by a deputy as engaging in tagging activities near a dance studio, a marijuana dispensary, and a mobile home park. His actions, documented on video surveillance and corroborated by multiple witnesses, were interpreted by gang experts as being done for the benefit of and under the direction of the Cuatro Flats gang. The graffiti often included specific monikers such as Two-Face, which the prosecution argued represented an internal identity within the gang's hierarchical structure. This tagging was seen as a deliberate effort to both claim territory and communicate allegiance and readiness for potential confrontations with rival groups. The trial and gang enhancement evidence in the Danny Martinez case. The legal proceedings surrounding Danny Martinez illustrate the complexities involved in prosecuting gang-related crimes. Martinez was charged with several counts, including unlawful possession of a handgun by a felon and multiple counts of vandalism for gang graffiti. The charges allege that his actions were committed for the benefit of, at the direction of, and in association with a criminal street gang, specifically the Cuatro Flats. Key testimonies and evidence. During the trial, the prosecution introduced testimony from a deputy with the Jurupa Valley Station of the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. The deputy provided detailed descriptions of the gang's operations in Jurupa Valley, noting that several members from the Los Angeles-based Cuatro Flats had established a clique in the area. This clique, sometimes referred to as the Night Owls, was involved in a series of predicate crimes including drug sales, assault with a deadly weapon, and vandalism. The deputy's testimony extended to the observation of various graffiti tags, such as Two-Face, C4E, and CF, which were attributed to the Cuatro Flats gang. In addition, the deputy noted that Martinez had been seen with distinctive gang tattoos, including the word "Flats" on the back of his head and "For Life" on his chest, further supporting the claim of his gang affiliation. Evidence was also presented regarding an incident on July 7, 2017, when new graffiti appeared near a dance studio and shopping center. The markings, which included combinations of letters and numbers associated with Cuatro Flats, were later defaced by rival gang members. Further observations on July 11th and subsequent days showed a pattern of tagging and retagging that testified to an ongoing territorial conflict. The deputy testified that the graffiti was clearly intended to benefit and promote the Cuatro Flats gang, as it served as both a territorial marker and a deterrent to rivals. Legal analysis and gang enhancements. Martinez's defense argued that the evidence was insufficient to establish an organizational connection between the smaller Cuatro Flats clique in Riverside County and the larger Los Angeles-based organization. However, the prosecution maintained that the evidence demonstrated that both groups were part of one overarching criminal street gang, with the only difference being geographical location. The court reviewed the evidence in light of prior cases, including People v. Prunty, and ultimately upheld the gang enhancements. The deputy's testimony, combined with the detailed evidence of predicate offenses committed by other self-admitted members such as Stephen McCrary, supported the conclusion that the actions of Danny Martinez were undertaken for the benefit of the Cuatro Flats gang. After extensive testimony on gang activities, tagging, and the significance of each graffiti marker, the jury rendered its verdict. Martinez was found guilty on all charged counts except one related to graffiti at a dance studio. The court then sentenced him to a total term of 12 years in prison, which included enhancements for his previous felony convictions and the specific intent to further criminal conduct by a gang. This case stands as a stark example of the challenges in dismantling gang operations and holding members accountable for a broad spectrum of criminal activities. Conclusion. The intertwined histories of the Cuatro Flats gang, Joe Saenz, and the various criminal incidents in which they have been involved provide a comprehensive look into the world of organized street gangs in Southern California. From the early days of the gang's establishment in the Pico Gardens, Aliso Village housing projects to the violent confrontations of the 1990s and 2000s, the narrative is a testament to the enduring and complex nature of gang rivalry and territorial disputes. Joe Saenz's trajectory, from his troubled upbringing in Los Angeles to his rise as a notorious figure on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list, exemplifies the personal and systemic factors that drive individuals into lives of violence and criminality. His alleged crimes, including the 1998 double murder, kidnapping, rape, and the 2008 murder of Oscar Torres, are not only reminders of the brutal reality of gang conflicts, but also serve as cautionary tales about the far-reaching impacts of such lifestyles. Similarly, the detailed legal proceedings in the Danny Martinez case highlight the challenges law enforcement faces in proving gang affiliation and the deliberate nature of gang-related crimes. The extensive evidence, from gang graffiti and territorial markings to eyewitness testimonies and forensic findings, underscores the methodical approach taken by criminal organizations to maintain control and assert dominance in their territories. Through this narrative, it becomes clear that while street-level violence and territorial disputes often capture public attention, the underlying structures of organized crime involve intricate networks, deeply rooted cultural dynamics, and persistent legal challenges. By understanding these elements, communities and policymakers can work toward more effective strategies in combating gang violence and fostering safer, more resilient neighborhoods. This comprehensive account has provided a factual, in-depth exploration of the Cuatro Flats gang and the key figures and incidents associated with it. It is intended to serve as an educational resource, one that highlights the importance of historical context, legal precision, and the relentless efforts of law enforcement to bring justice in the face of organized criminal activity.